Hi, friends. It's Heidi M with volume one of my picks of films to see at this year's Toronto International Film Festival. The list of films that I'm giving you today includes 5 films from different parts of the world, including Canada. They are by directors of different cultures, genders, and they deal with very different themes. There's no particular order to this list. I just wanted to share these first 5 films to alert you to look for them. I'm not sure that they're all sold out yet because they're not Hollywood films or films with big, huge star power. 2 of them are documentaries, and I still think that these are relevant for those of us, especially because these are Canadian documentaries and the stories are very important for us to be aware of. So without further ado, and in no particular order, I am starting with the film Tartuktivok, also known as What We See. In this evocative drawn from life tale, directors Carol Canuck and Lucy Tulgarjuk sort of bring the story of 2 sisters who are attempting to heal and overcome trauma during the pandemic. They use a mix of sort of Zoom calls, if you will, to remind us of that time when we had to isolate and couldn't connect with our loved ones. And in the process of getting to know the 2 sisters through their conversations, through Zoom, but eventually in person, we tend to also learn about the traumas that they've experienced from childhood. Some content warning here in terms of themes around sexual abuse. And, unfortunately, this is a story that is become too well known in Canada, especially at the hands of the Catholic Church and around the residential schools that the children from Inuit and Indigenous communities were sent to. So this film does touch upon a little bit of that, but primarily I enjoy seeing the 2 sisters' relationship, them trying to reconcile their past history and coming together not only as sisters but with the family to support each other and move forward and sort of making the best of what is going on in their lives regardless of the pandemic. So this is a very important film to me because I'm learning a lot in terms of a settler here, and I want to support as well the filmmakers that come from these communities. So this is Tartuktivok, What We See. Next on my list, I have Boil Alert, and it is a documentary as well by James Burns and Stevie Salas. This is another documentary that I think it's important for us who live in Canada. It revolves around activist Layla Stats, who shows the faces and personal stories behind the struggle of First Nation reserves to receive a basic human right, which is that of access to drinkable and clean water. So in the film, they take us across different reserves in Canada, but also in the US. And we learn about the communities, their struggles, but we also see the beauty in the communities as well. The film itself is also quite beautiful. And I do think there is another aspect to the film with regards to the music that you hear. It really is quite an impactful film, and it's a film that I've talked about with a couple of friends already, so I urge you to see it. This is Boil Alert, and that's a documentary playing as part of TIFF Docs. Next on my list, I have a film called A Ravaging Wind, by Paula Hernandez. And in this film from Argentina, this filmmaker gives us a story about complex relationships between 2 dads and their children. And this is sort of in the countryside of Argentina. First, we meet a father and daughter duo. The father is a traveling pastor and the daughter helps him along in terms of his mission. And they unfortunately have an issue with their car that breaks down, and they have to seek help from somebody in the countryside who is a mechanic who has a son. And they don't agree. The two fathers don't agree in terms of how they raise their children and the influence of religion in their lives, among other themes, of course. It is a really interesting film. It's also very cinematic, and it is a story that I think is very important as well in terms of addressing parental relationships and how parents might not always understand their children when they're teenagers. They're no longer children, and they're trying to find their way in life, if you will. I really appreciated this film. It is also based on a book. So this is A Ravaging Wind by Paula Hernandez. Next, I have a film on my list by Carolina Markowitz, who comes back to TIFF with Toll, or Pedágio in Portuguese. And the film revolves around a Brazilian mother who sort of falls in with a gang of thieves in an attempt to keep her family afloat. This is another parent-child relationship story. The mother is a single parent of an teenager as well, who is exploring their sexuality. And of course, given the political climate in Brazil right now, and religion being also something that drives the country or polarizes the country, the mother thinks that she needs to send her son to a conversion camp to avoid him becoming full-fledged gay. And of course, there's a lot of dark humor in this film, satire, beautiful cinematography. The cast is excellent. I will have an interview with the filmmaker Carolina Markowitz coming up, so I hope that you make it to see Toll, and that is part of the I believe Centerpiece program, or maybe special presentations. Highly recommended. And my fifth film for today is called Not a Word. And this film is by writer-director Hannah Slack. And it revolves around a mother and son again, who are trying to confront years of silence and misunderstandings. And it's a really beautiful film to look at from a cinematography standpoint. The mother is actually a composer of I apologize, she's a conductor of a symphony, and she's very successful, but she needs to put her career on hold for a minute because her son has an accident that, could be precarious to his well-being. And she needs to decide, this is the time to be with her son and trying to reconnect one way or the other. There's a lot of excellent themes in this film as well, that of listening and understanding, and this idea that, some relationships in terms of a mother and son or a parent and child can still be repaired, even if through time there's been a bit of a breakage there. I really recommend this film. It seems a bit of a slow-paced film, but I think you would enjoy it for all of the themes and also visually and musically. So this is Hannah Slack's Not a Word. So I hope that these films can make it to your list, or if not, keep them on your radar. So hopefully they come back somewhere at TIFF if you miss them at the festival. But for all information, visit tiff.net in terms of listings and schedules. And I will make sure that the full list of films, along with a brief synopsis, is available on my website, highmusings.ca. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll come back with another volume of film picks very soon.